Hey, good morning everyone. It's Monday, February 10th, and today I have some exciting things I want to work on. I woke up early to make some progress on my game before I start on my shop, but first, coffee. And before you ask, no, I still don't have a name for my game. But don't worry, I'm sure the perfect name will come to me when the time is right. In the meantime, keep those suggestions coming in the comments. In this devlog, I'm tackling a core feature of any good roguelike, the shop. But before diving into that, let's take a step back and do a quick project check-in. Since I didn't properly show much of the game in my previous devlog, now's a great time to give you a better look at where things stand. Let's start with a quick overview of the game. Right now, the game starts directly on the run scene. In the future, I'll obviously add a proper menu and other UI elements, but for now, the game skips straight to a run. This scene contains the map, which I built using a tutorial as a guide. I'll leave you a link to it in a card above. It's been super helpful for several parts of my development process. The map scene is responsible for generating how each run plays out. The design is still very bare bones, but keep in mind everything is subject to change. For now, I have 3 different room types planned. The first is the climbing room, which always appears at the start of a run. It's the core of the game where most of the action happens. Then there is the treasure room, which will offer rewards and surprises to spice up gameplay. And finally, there is the shop, which is what we'll be working on today. Clicking on a room loads a new scene into the run. In this case, it loads a climb room. You'll also notice I have quite a few global variables running in the background, but I plan to clean them up since I'm a bit concerned about performance. Now let's take a look at the first room in action. Even though there is still a lot to add, the basic layout of the game is already in place. In the top left corner I have the money counter, which tracks how much currency the player has collected. Just below that there are some empty slots that don't have a function yet, but they will eventually display passive items and card descriptions. This will be important as I flesh out the game's mechanics, since passive effects will stack and influence how each run plays out. On the right side of the screen there is a health display, which is currently set to a default of 3. That might change later if I decide to add upgrades or difficulty modifiers, but for now it's a simple fixed value. There are also 2 health indicators that play a key role in the game's progression. The green marker represents the goal height that the player needs to reach in order to clear the room, while the white marker tracks the highest point the player has climbed so far. This gives a clear visual indication of progress during each climb. At the bottom of the screen, there is the player's current hand of cards. These cards are the core of the gameplay, dictating movements and abilities. If you ever want to see the full deck, you can click on the card pile, which will expand to show every card available. One important mechanic that ties all of this together is the difficulty system. Each run begins at a starting goal of 30 height, but as you progress, the height requirement increases. The idea is that the challenge ramps up naturally, making each room a little tougher than the last. After completing a room, the player is sent back to the map screen to choose the next destination. Right now, this transition feels a little bare bones, as there is not much feedback to let the player know they have finished a room. That's something I plan to work on in the future, maybe adding some effects or animation to make it more satisfying. But for now, let's focus on the next room. And as you can see, it's completely empty. Hey, quick break, it's me from the future. If you are enjoying this devlog so far, make sure to like the video and subscribe so you don't miss any future episodes. I have a lot more updates coming and I would love to have you along for the journey. Alright, back to the devlog. Hey, good morning again. As you saw in the previous time-lapse, I made solid progress on the shop's UI. I started by sketching out a rough idea of what I wanted the shop to look like. While doing that, I realized I could also add healing bottles to the shop, since losing lives will become more common as the game progresses. This should help balance out the difficulty curve. I decided to begin with the UI first to get a clear sense of the layout before diving into the code. It's always easier to structure the logic when you already know how things will be presented on screen. Since I want to keep a consistent design across the game, I stuck with the same general 3-column layout. The middle section acts as the main focus of the shop, where all the purchasing happens. On the left side there is a space for the player's money, health, and any passive items they have collected. On the right, I added a placeholder button for rerolling the shop, along with an area for managing the deck. I still need to figure out the best way to handle this section, since I want the player to be able to spend money to refresh the shop's inventory, but also have the options to remove cards from their deck. In the center, I've laid out 2 rows, one dedicated for items and another for cards. Of course, none of this is final. If you have any suggestions or feel like something is missing, let me know. I'm still experimenting and I'm not completely happy with how the UI looks just yet. Right now it feels a little too flat and linear and I would like to give it more personality, but for a first prototype I think it works well enough. Even with the placeholder icons, it's already starting to take shape. Unfortunately, that's all I had time for today. I've got a long workday ahead, but tomorrow morning we'll dive into the actual coding and start making the shop functional. Unfortunately, an entire day has passed since the last clip, and I haven't been able to make any progress. Lately, work has been crazy and it's been tough to find time to focus on the game. As much as I love game development, my full-time job sometimes demands all my energy, and honestly, sometimes I just want to do this. That's the challenge of balancing a full-time job with making a game plus all the other things I do. Sometimes I have to let go of the pressures to be always productive and just give my brain a break. I know that when I'm well rested, I can come back and do a much better job on the game. So yeah, today I'm taking it easy. Maybe I'll go bouldering for a few hours. Tomorrow we are finally diving back into the code. Welcome back. Today I made some solid progress. I created a shop item node to handle the UI logic for showing, hiding and disabling the buy button. I also added 2 item resources. I'm calling them relics for now, but that name might change later, like everything else at this stage. The shop works by keeping a pool of all available items and cards, then rolling on that pool based on item rarity to determine what appears on the store. This is one of the features that will require a lot of tweaking and testing to get just right, since it's a core part of the game loop and needs to be well balanced. I'm still deciding whether I want items to be strictly sorted by rarity, or if I prefer a more randomized approach. There are also rules in place, such as ensuring that healing potions are always included at least once, and preventing certain items from appearing multiple times in the same shop. Another thing I haven't fully decided on is whether health potions should be part of the relic pool, or if they should have their own separate category. Still figuring that out. So expect to revisit this screen in the future when I make a video about balancing and how I refine the shop system over time. For testing, I have manually added the only 2 relics I have so far. As you can see, they start disabled since I don't have any money. But if I add some funds to my money controller, the items automatically become available, and I can even buy them. Of course, there is a small issue. The buy action isn't actually linked to anything yet, so my money isn't even being deducted. But that's all I had time for today. Next, I will focus on setting up the cards. I spent the weekend editing some videos for the channel, so I didn't have time to work on the game itself. But it's Monday again, so today, before work, I'll focus on getting all the shop functionalities up and running. The first thing I tackled this morning was an infinite loop bug, the kind I hate the most. These are always frustrating, and this one turned out to be caused by the way weighted items were sorted. The fix, sorting them from least weighted to most weighted before rolling items. It's simple enough, but a frustrating detour. Also, as you can see, I decided to split the card section in two. Mixing block cards and special cards together felt odd, so I reworked the system. Special cards are now bought directly from the shop, while block cards come from expansion packs, similar to how Balatro handles them. I think this adds a better layer of randomness and excitement when adding block cards to the deck. Now let's get to actually adding cards to the store. It's been a long day, but I finally have a working shop. The only thing missing now is the expansion card packs I mentioned earlier. Still, I'm happy with how much progress we have made in just 1 week. Adding the cards was much simpler, since they don't have all the weight and exclusivity rules as relics do. Cards can be repeated all they want and only come in common, rare and legendary types. This made the implementation much more straightforward compared to relics, which require more rules to prevent duplicates and ensure variety. Let me quickly show you how the game is looking so far. Alright, let's start with some quick gameplay. I'll take some damage so I can later demonstrate how health potion works. The first level is usually easy to clear, and once it's done, we are back on the map. Now, here's something interesting. The next room isn't actually a shop, but that gives me the perfect excuse to show you a new addition, a cheat screen. Last time I showed the shop, I had to manually add money through the interface because there is no way to get money in-game. Now I have added a hidden menu where I can instantly give myself money, unlock the map, replenish health, and more. I'm even considering leaving this in the final version because, let's be honest, players love cheat codes. So let's add some money, unlock the shop, and check it out. Here I can heal up and buy special cards to make the next room much easier. Another big addition, controller support. If you watch my last video, you know I've been prioritizing controller compatibility from the start. The same approach applies to the shop. It's fully navigable with a controller. So that's the progress we've made in this devlog. I'm really proud of how the shop is coming together, but it still needs a lot of additions like expansion packs, deck management, and of course relics still don't do anything, plus I only have one special card and it has no icon or name, so yeah, there is still a long way to go before I can call this a finished game. But anyway, this has been a long devlog, so it's time to wrap it up. Thank you for staying this long, and if you enjoyed this format, let me know in the comments. And if you haven't already, don't forget to like the video, subscribe to the channel and hit the notification bell so you won't miss any future devlogs. Your support really helps and keeps me motivated to keep making this. Thank you so much for watching, and as always, I'll see you in another devlog. Bye!